What's going on, YouTube? I'm back, and today I just want to talk to you guys about the new meta in Overwatch. I don't know what's going on in these games in competitive. Now, I'm sure you all know that with Overwatch's most recent patch, a patch that a lot of people consider to be the death of GOATs. And on ladder at Grandmaster and up, GOATs is certainly dead, but it's not dead because I've seen people try and run it and fail. It's dead because these games have no other meta composition. These games legitimately feel something like quick play or even team deathmatch. And it's not even just the team compositions themselves. There's just something that feels less serious about competitive lately. Ever since this patch came out, it feels like since GOATs isn't being played, there is no structure at all in these games. And it's in a bad way. You know, people always hate on metas for a number of reasons. Some people hate on them because their favorite hero isn't good anymore. Some people hate them because of how repetitive the hero selections are. And some people hate them because of a lack of skill, or just maybe there's too much emphasis on skill. Now, I don't know if you guys have played Overwatch since the Death of GOATs patch has been released, but there is no clear meta yet. And it has left me personally longing for a set way of approaching how to play the game. I like structure. I like when I know what's coming. I like that when I make a mistake in a certain situation, I can immediately analyze and see what I should do in the future, not only in the next game, not only in the next team fight, but in the next game. You know? I think that's really important, and I think it's something that's undervalued when we discuss certain metas. The reason it's important is because if I'm playing Zarya, for example, and I'm a Masters player, and we're playing GOATs, right? I can go on YouTube and watch a pro player play Zarya into GOATs with GOATs and see all the little things that they do, all of the little nuance within bubble management, within target focus, and I can add those things to my game because me and the pro player are playing in the exact same environments. Obviously, there's a difference in skill and pace, but for the most part, I can learn from the pro really easy because we're playing in the same environment. And that is one thing that I personally really like about metas. It lets me see exactly where I've gone wrong, and when I watch another player play in the same conditions, I can see exactly where I'm weak, or I can see exactly where I'm strong, because we're playing the same game the same way. You know, without a meta, doing this, it's not nearly as easy to see. It's not as clear. It's not as easy to figure out. You know, I could be doing things right, I could be doing things wrong, and it's so much harder to tell because everything just feels random. And I'm putting emphasis on the word feeling random because the game isn't actually random. You know, it just feels random. And Overwatch just innately is a game where there's a lot of randomness. You know, there's so many abilities, there's so many heroes. You know, there's so many levels. I mean, in terms of like verticality, there's so much stuff going on. It is a very random game, I will admit. So I would like to reduce that as much as possible. And reducing that is something that a meta does. It makes the game feel less random. I think we can all agree that Overwatch probably does feel too random as it is, even in a strong meta. So I do like how a meta makes it so that phenomenon is reduced at least a little bit. Now, I'm not saying I miss GOATs, but I do miss the structure that came with it. I also really love to play Zarya, so I never truly despise GOATs. It just got a little bit stale sometimes. Structure in our games is what we all want, and when lower ranked people think of high level games being more fun, it's because of the coordination that is inherent in these high level games. It's not just some esoteric thing that makes high-level games fun. It's the structure of those games that makes them not only fun to play, but also fun to watch, because we know what the players are trying to do, and we see the nuance in how they achieve that thing. It's like a racetrack, you know, and we all know where the corners are. We know what corners to cut. we know where the shortcuts are, and since we know where all the corners and shortcuts are, we are able to turn up the pace of play a ton, and we all know what everyone else is trying to do, and then we can all add our own little nuance to that. You know, I think there's a problem in a game like Overwatch when instead of a nice racetrack, just using an analogy, we just have 4 DPS and a Solo Mercy running around, a Hammond slamming my backline. You know, I personally, I do okay in this meta because I'm a pretty strong mechanical player, but like I also really like the structure that comes with the meta, because having 4 DPS running around, you know, random people getting picked over across the side of the map, you know, it's really hard to analyze. You know, why am I losing? Why are they winning? You know, I killed 2 people, but my team's dead behind me, so apparently I'm not killing the right people at the right time. It's just a very frustrating feeling that I'm really not a fan of at all. And if anyone thinks that I'm saying this because I'm not doing good in this meta, I'm doing really good because Soldier and Ashe and Tracer are all viable again, and those are my most favorite heroes. I also think Roadhog is very, very low-key underrated at the moment. I think he's actually the strongest he's been in a little while, to be honest with you. I've had some amazing games with him lately. I also think that Soldier and Ashe and McCree have risen, mainly because Mercy has become viable again, and as you know, those 3 hits can coordinate and work well with Mercy just because of the damage boost and the resurrections. I mean, I could make a whole different video on why Mercy is good again, but I don't really want to get too much into that right now. So I guess you could say I'm enjoying the mechanical gameplay of this patch, but I'm not enjoying the randomness of these games. It just feels so much less serious without a set meta. And I'm sure there will be a set meta, you know, in the future. I have no doubt that eventually there will be one. I just hope it's one that has way more structure than what I'm seeing now. It just feels so less serious to me. And I've heard talk that goats will still be meta. I was in the Contenders player, you guys may know him, his name is Gods. I was in his stream and I asked him what the meta is during his scrims, and he said that the meta is still goats, unenthusiastically, which I think would be terrible. And this is just speculation, but I just feel like because goats is so much weaker right now, it would still be goats, but it would just be more boring goats. You know, less haymaker, hard-hitting goats, and more kind of just sitting on point passive goats, which would be very boring if you were to ask me. I guess the whole point of this video was just to shed light on the fact that a set meta is actually a really important thing to the health of a video game, especially a game like Overwatch, where, let's go over it. Like, okay, so you jump into a ranked match, and all of a sudden you're on a certain map, and then you have 1 minute to figure out what hero you're going to play. And you don't know what your teammates play. You don't know what the enemy team plays. You don't even know what's going to happen. And you want to pick a hero that is going to, number one, enable you to succeed, and then enable your teammates to succeed as well, so the team can succeed. You know, you want to pick heroes that synergize with the heroes that your team is going to pick, right? But if everyone's just picking whatever they want, you know, then it just becomes stressful. Like, it's like, what do I pick? You know, I have to pick a hero that's good on this map, but then I also have to pick a hero that's going to synergize well with my McCree one trick. You know, as a player, I don't want to be worried about that stuff. You know, I just want to focus on my own quality of game. I want to focus on bringing a high level of play, you know, from my own position. You know, I don't want to be stressing out about other factors. You know, I just want to play well. I want to put my focus and emphasis on my own gameplay, and I want to focus on what the other team is doing. I don't want to focus on my own teammates. That's just my opinion, because I personally find it stressful, because I always try to make my teammates pop off as well as myself, because that's like the secret to Overwatch. Like, people always talk about like using your mic and stuff like that, but for me personally, I think the secret of Overwatch is picking heroes that enable your team to succeed. I think that's the secret. So, but That's just me. I hear the opinion all the time that people should be able to pick whatever heroes they want whenever they want, and I couldn't disagree with that anymore. I think nothing could be further from the truth, and I think anyone that thinks that doesn't know how much they appreciate the structure that is inherent in a meta.